Hi there, Terry back again. Hope you are well and are looking forward to another video from me. This is going to be a Superman action one, just like the thumbnail said, and this is part 8, 1964, and it's going to probably be a part 1 because I think it's going to be a bit long for all of the issues in this collection, especially the bits and pieces I'd like to say. Right, let's start with January 1964. And the first thing for that is the 8th annual. So we have a super collection of untold stories and secret origins. And on the back there, these stories weren't actually in this issue. These were future issues, as it says on there. But anyway, this, as I said, it was cover dated December 63, Jan 1964. And despite it saying on the cover untold stories, they have all been told in previous issues of Superman, Superboy, Lois Lane and Adventure Comics. The writers whom you would suspect to be are Jerry Siegel, Otto Binder, Jerry Coleman and John Cicala. The artists Al Plastino, George Papp, Wayne Borin, Kurt Schaffenberger, John Cicala, Dick Sprang and of course Kurt Swan. This is probably one of the best annuals I've got as far as how bright and neat and tidy it is. Next we have Superman 166 Jan cover date, and it's got a lovely Kurt Swan Christmas cover. Sorry it's a bit late for Christmas, or early depending on your point of view. Here we have an Edmund Hamilton imaginary story. The fantastic story of Superman's sons. Kurt Swan with the pencils, George Klein with the inks. And due to the wonderful crisis on Infinite Earths, this story now actually happened on Earth 166. Great cover there. Right, we have action now, 308, and again January. Cover by Kurt Swan. And the cover tells you all about the Superman story. But this Earth, he isn't numbered. Oh, sorry, this Earth, it isn't numbered or named. And like the writer, that's unknown as well. But regular Al Pastino does the art. Supergirl's story is written by Leo Dorfman, with the artist Jim Mooney, and it's entitled The Super Tot from Nowhere. Then we have Superman 167, February cover date, Kurt Swan cover. And as you can see on the cover, Brainiac and Luthor get together, and they're trying to defeat our hero in this three-part tale. Part 1 was the Deadly Duo, Part 2 was the Downfall of Superman, and Part 3 was the Hour of Kandor's Vengeance. And this was their first team-up, hence how much it cost me. It's a team-up in comics, it says in the database, so possibly they appeared somewhere else, on a cartoon or something such as that. Let me know in the comments if you know. The writers were Cary Bates and Edmund Hamilton, and the art was by Kurt Swan and George Klein. As I said, this is the first and very fleeted appearance of Brainiac's son, Brainiac 2. He was later revamped into Invasion 1 from cover date December 1988. And that was written by Keith Giffen, and the art was by Todd McFarlane. And he was renamed Vril Dox 2, who founded and led the Legion, or Licensed Extra Governmental Interstellar Operatives Network. Easy for me to say. Also, other trivia for 167. It was the introduction of Colu, Brainiac planet, along with the Coluans and the inhabitants of the said planet. Also, this story actually replaced the story that ended up in Superman 170, but more of that later. Now we have a cover 309, February cover date, Kurt Swan doing the art, and this was the one of the titles was The Superman Super Spectacular. It was written by Edmund Hamilton, and the art was by Kurt Swan and George Klein. And I expect we all know who is disguised as Clark. Sorry, no spoilers, but also we have a first appearance of Pete Ross as an adult. And that's obviously Clark's boyhood friend. Supergirl story is by the usual pair of Leo Dorfman and Jim Mooney, and this is the untold story of Argo City. And it also changes what was told in Action 252, see the first appearance of Supergirl, as in Argo City survived, and it was not destroyed as was implied. Then we have Action 310, March cover date. And as per cover, this is the introduction of Dual Kryptonite. Written by Leo Dorfman, artists Kurt Swan and George Klein. It gave the Phantom Zoners the ability to heighten and focus their low-level mental abilities in order to affect the universe outside of the Phantom Zone. Didn't succeed very well, and it wasn't used again until Action Comics number 548, 238 issues later, from October 1983. The Supergirl story has good news. Leo and Jim doing the usual good work, and Supergirl's real parents are alive. The story was called Supergirl's Rival Parents, and despite the title, it does have an happy ending. Right. We have Superman 168. Did I get that wrong? No, I did that right. In this All Luthor issue, we have Luthor Superhero, written by Edmund Hamilton, and the pencil and inks by Kurt Swan and George Klein. Obviously, the cover art there is Kurt Swan and George Klein. We have Luthor of the planet Lexor, and this appeared in Supes 164, but wasn't named. Also, his girlfriend Adora, who appeared as Thala in Superman 167. She remembers her name in this issue, as Ardora. As you can see on the cover, Supes is hated and Luthor is their hero. And the second story is written by Leo Dorfman, the same art team as the first story. And Lex Luthor, Planet Editor is the title. And the invention of Lex's is faulty, and he ends up going back in time to 1906. And yes, in this story, Luthor does cause the earthquake in San Francisco in 1906. This is one weird story. Also, chronologically, it is the first appearance of Perry White. So we have Action Comics 311, April 64. And the title, Superman King of Earth, is written by Robert Bernstein and the art is by Kurt Swan and George Klein. The story, Red Kryptonite splits Superman into a tyrannical Superman and a non-powered Clark Kent, who leads an underground movement against him. This story continues in issue 312. Supergirl story, The Day Super Horse Became Human, written by Leo Dorfman and Jim Mooney doing the art. This is Super Horse's first appearance as Devil Horse. And they say first, so I assume it happens again. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, being human doesn't last long, as he has to save Supergirl. Then we have Superman 169, May cover date. One of my favourite Silver Age covers, this one. As Kurt Swan and George Klein doing the art. And then we have The Infernal Imp, written by Jerry Siegel, and the pencils and inks by Kurt Swan and George Klein. Mr. Mixyezpidlik manages to get Lockjaw. Even though Lockjaw is mouth closed, his is open. So what a great time to come from the fifth dimension to be a pain to Superman. Of course, Supes works out a way to get rid of him. And then we have The Man Who Stole Superman's Life, again written by Jerry Siegel, the art this time by Al Plastino. And this story reintroduces Sally Selwyn from issue 167. This is the last time we see her, but she doesn't die. And the last story is The Bizarro Invasion of Earth, which is obviously the cover story there. And as for the cover, the story was the Great DC Contest. Readers were told there was only one D and one C in this story, and to win a prize they needed to locate them. Unfortunately, there were more Ds in the story, defeating the object of the competition. And if I remember rightly when I read it, I think there was more Cs as well, but there was definitely more Ds than there should have been. There we have Action 312, continuing issue 311. And again, Kurt Swan doing the art. And part 2 of the last month's issue is King Superman versus Clark Kent Metallo. Robert Bernstein continues the writing, and Kurt Swan and George Klein still with the art. Clark Kent is mortally wounded, so has a kryptonite heart installed, like you do. Superman's tyranny is a ruse to prevent the world from panicking over an alien attack. So after the attack is sorted, they re-merge, conveniently forgetting the kryptonite heart. But like when Mr. Mxyzptlk goes back to the fifth dimension, everything goes back to normal. So I assume they use the same logic for Red Kryptonite stories. Supergirl's story is The Fantastic Menace of the Elves. And DC Database says, unknown writer. I suspect it was Jerry Siegel, but that's just my opinion. Reason being, a prediction machine that first appears in Superman 157 was written by Jerry Siegel. And it appears in this story, the art by Jim Mooney. The machine predicts for Supergirl that she will be affected by 5 different elves, with the 5th occasion, conveniently, Halley's Comet, which as you know turns Comet back to his human form, which enables him to save Supergirl from a kryptonite trap. And now, if I wanted to be pedantic, the last time Halley's Comet passed before this comic was published was 1906. And, was around 1914. And so the next time would be around 1986. So therefore, Supergirl would have died in this issue in 1964 and not died in 1985 in Crisis. Just my opinion. And the last issue of this part is Action number 313, June cover date. Kurt Swan and George Klein doing the art again. And it's written by someone unknown, and the art is by El Plastino. And we have here the end of Clark Kent's secret identity. A villain called the Android Master replaces Superman's friends with androids, who betray him. But Supes isn't daft, and sees through the plan of the Android Master, someone we've never seen since. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. And the last story is the Supergirl story, and this is called Lena Thorol, Jungle Princess. Now, Lena Thorol is Luthor's sister. Something she learns in this story doesn't go down well. She blanks this information out and heads to the jungle, as you do. The story ends with her having no memory of her brother, and that can only be a good thing. It's written by Leo Dorfman, art as usual by Jim Mooney. As I said, that's it for 1964 part 1. This video has gone on too long. If you would like to like and subscribe, I'd love to get to 250 so I can do that giveaway competition. And nice to see you again, and thank you very much for watching. And we'll, as I say, see you again. Bye.